Hey, yo guys, it's the Unsmooth Criminal, and I've just been reminded by my parents to give you a brief thing. Do not own My Hero Academia, and I do not own Cyberpunk 2077. And I do not own any of the pictures shown in any of my videos. So if you guys want the pictures, just send me a comment and I'll send you to the I'll send you a link to the exact picture, or I'll send you a link to download the app on Android because I do not have Apple. Now that I got that out of the way, this is the what if Femme Deku was from Cyberpunk 2077. Now she's not gonna come from Night City, which is in Cyberpunk 2077. No, she's not gonna come from Night City. What she is gonna do is she's gonna have the ability to control robots or some electronics that are connected to her synapses and the her nervous system, so she can control whole cybernetic limbs, unlike normal people who, if they try to control cybernetic limbs with their nerve endings, they can't. So she has the ability to adapt with cybernetics, unlike normal people. However, all they know is she has a quirk. So she's 7. They know she has a quirk, but they don't know what it is. So they're just bouncing around between Quirk Doctor and Quirk Doctor, trying to find a Quirk Doctor that can identify their quirk. But they haven't found one, and finally they are going to basically a Quirk Doctor that lives out in the middle of nowhere that no one uses anymore. And he used to be able to identify the quirk just by looking at the person. But people hate that but. On the road to the Quirk Doctor, there's a landslide. And the mountain that they're driving by is the mountain and forest that is around the Wild Pussycats. And yes, she does have a mutation. And the only mutation she has is cat ears and a tail. So they know she has a quirk because she has a mutation. Duh. And she doesn't have that extra joint like quirkless people have. And there's something else that comes with it that they can't find out what it is. There's a secret organization that's currently mining in that mountain, but nobody knows about it yet. So I think it's the Crew What Ifers, or My Crew What Ifers, something like that. I'll put the link in the description. No, not the description. The comments. I'll put a link in the comments to their YouTube channel that gave me the idea for this. But that's besides the point. They're currently mining in this mountain. Nobody knows they're there. And this landslide happens, and the car is swept off the road by the landslide. And it rolls down the mountain completely. And this is the same area that the kids got pushed off of when they're at the training camp. And that's where the entrance of the base is. So Izumi gets thrown out of the car and gets her legs, her arms, and her spine gets shattered. So her arms are mangled beyond repair, her legs are mangled beyond repair, and her spine is shattered. And this scientist sees this girl and is like, she's dying. If I don't find a way to help her, she's gonna die. And if I don't do the experiment that I want to do on human life, she might die. So I'm going over the head of the organization to save a life and test immediately on human subjects. So I could get fired for this, but I could also be rewarded for this. I'll take the risks. So he runs out of the base, and the security guards are like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I'll be right back." And he runs back in with a little girl in his arms, who's currently dying, and like, "What the hell?" And he goes, "Help me!" And he pulls the little girl into the operation room, and he starts taking all the shattered bone out. He amputates the legs and arms, and instead of trying to heal and make her arms regenerate like some medicine can do, he instead implants cybernetic arms. If anybody's seen Cyberpunk 2077, you know the Johnny Silverhand's metal arm. Yeah, we don't want any of that. So V getting a arm replacement from the Ripper Doc, that's what she gets. That's the kind of arm she gets. So she's got humanoid kind of arms, robotic humanoid arms, and 6 months later, her nervous system's finally adjusted to it, and she finally wakes up. She's been on life support this entire time. She's had an IV drip into her the entire time. And she's had an air tube down her throat the entire time. So she wakes up and she starts freaking out, and the hands immediately react like if they were human arms. And the researcher sees this and is like, "It was a success!" And he yells this out loud, and everybody in his research department is like, "What's going on?" All of a sudden, all the alarms go off, and she rips the tube out of her throat, and she starts coughing and hacking, and he runs up to her and says, calm down. I know this is a big shock for you, but calm down. And he's trying to calm her down, and all of a sudden, one of the researchers is like, "Oh crap, she's having a panic attack." So he pulls out a blowgun, basically a blowgun, or a dart gun, whatever you want to call it, and shoots her in the neck. Yes, he's a hunter that catches and releases back into the wild, because, come on, not all scientists are heartless people. Duh! But he catches animals with blowguns and tags them and releases them back into the wild to keep track of them and see how many times that they get caught and if they survive the months in the wilderness. So this guy pulls out his blowgun and shot her, and she immediately gets the droopy, drowsy, because he shot her in a artery that goes up to her brain, so it quickly ran through her system. And the scientist who saw the dart hit, it started freaking out like, what did you do? And he goes, "Don't worry, I don't kill anything, I just knocked her out." And everybody walks over, and they see the lungs expanding and compressing. They press their head against her chest to hear the heartbeat. And at this point, she's 8. She was 7, and now she's 8 because she missed her birthday. And the researcher says, "All y'all can suck it. My research was successful." And he's celebrating and having a great time, and all of a sudden, the director walks into the room and says, "So you did go over my head." And he goes, "Hi, director." And he goes, "This better be a really good reason why you went over my head, or I'm going to make sure you don't survive tomorrow." And this guy says, "Director, I heard the landslide that the mining team did, and I looked out of the window," and he points at the window that is hidden behind some rocks, "and I saw a little girl dying." And then he points at the little girl and says, "I saved her life with these cybernetics." And he goes, "Okay," and he walks up to the director and says, "I found a way to make cybernetics for her to work. It does help that her quirk did allow me to do it easier, but And he goes, wait. What is her quirk? And he goes, oh, augmented humans? Human augmentation is the name of her quirk. And he goes, how do you know this? And he goes, you remember the guru that's kind of 12 miles down the road? And he goes, yeah. I kind of called him over. He goes, he knows where our base is? And he goes, no. He just knows that we're 12 miles down the road. When she was stable, I kind of took her up to the street level and had the guru check her out. And he goes, okay, she can't know where we are. 1, and 2, she must go back to her family as fast as possible, or she is going to stay here and become a mercenary like us. And he goes, oh, whoa. I'm not letting her become a mercenary because she's a valuable asset to show and to prove that cybernetics can work on humans. And he goes, I don't care. First off, I don't want a little girl in this area of the lab. Second off, cybernetics weren't your department at first. You just joined. And he goes, but I've been working with cybernetics ever since I joined. And he goes, exactly. You just joined 6 weeks ago. You went way over your station. And he goes, yeah, I know. I just can't watch people die. And he goes, I understand, but that's our job, is to kill people. And you're supposed to help us do that with augmentation. So, get her out of here. So, he picks her up and puts a book in her pocket because she's in a uniform of this secret organization, but the patches are all ripped off. And he picks her up and takes her outside because she's lighter now than when she had human body parts, because he used lighter materials than human body parts. And he took her into the middle of the woods and set her down and left her there. And called Mandalay. He called the Wild Wild Pussycats their agency and said that there's a girl running around in the forest and I don't know where she is. Can you look for her? I'm wondering if she's hurt or not. And made this bogus statement about how he was just driving by, and he just ran back into the lab saying, she's gone, she's not coming back. And the commander-in-chief goes, okay, now get back to work on those military augments so we can get better jobs done. And that's the last time I'm going to pull them into the story. So, with the Wild Wild Pussycats, the hotline told them that there's a girl running around the forest, and they don't know if she's lost, in danger, or anything. So, Mandalay and Ragdoll immediately start searching everywhere. Mandalay used her telepathy to see if she can get the girl to come out and go to a certain direction. And Ragdoll was running around trying to tag anybody that was close to her with her tracking and see if she can find them. And finally, Ragdoll ran by this bush, and this bush was like 10, 20 feet away from Izumi. And Ragdoll froze at this bush and was like, wait. So she turns and looks in the bush and sees this little girl, and she has cat ears, a tail, and nope, it's 6 o'clock. 6:30 actually. But she sees this little girl and is like, oh, this is the little girl that we're looking for. Picks her up and is like, dang, she's liked, and runs back and says that I found her. Call back Mandalay, and Tiger does with the radios that they have. And Mandalay gets back and sees this little girl and is like, what's that on her arm? And they look at her arm, and they see metal running across the arm, and they go, uh-huh. So they wait for her to wake up, and she finally wakes up into this dull lit room from just a lamp in the corner, and it's day out. She looks around and sees this girl with a headpiece that looks like cat ears. And she bolts up being like, "Are you one of the Wild Pussycats?" And Mandalay starts to laugh, going, yes, I am. I'm surprised you heard of me. And she goes, "I know all the heroes." And she starts geeking out about all the heroes that she knows of. And Mandalay's just shocked. And she goes, "Can I have your autograph?" And then she starts to remember where her journal is in the car with her mom, and then remembers what happened with her mom. And then she starts crying, and Mandalay goes, "Well, what's wrong?" And she finally says, I got trapped in a landslide with my mom." And Mandalay's like, "Where?" She goes, I don't know." And she relays the entire story of the landslide, and she's bawling throughout the entire story. And Tiger is sent out to try to retrieve or see where the landslide was and if there's any survivors. And when he gets to the part of the road that the landslide is, it's completely cleared off, like it wasn't there at all. And there's absolutely no car at the bottom of the hill. He's like, it's like the landslide never happened. So he goes back to the Wild Pussycats and says, "There's absolutely nothing there." And they go, What? Like, there's no road, no car, no. There's a road. There's no rocks, no cars, no sign of life, nothing there. It's like there was no landslide at all. And Pixie goes, "I haven't touched it, so it must have been somebody else." And Mandalay starts calling all the hero agencies, being like, "Did anybody respond to a landslide that happened a day or two ago?" And they go, "No." And Izumi finally stops crying and asks, "Where's her mom?" And Mandalay says, "We don't know. What is your name?" And she finally says, "Izumi Midoriya." And Tiger's eyes widen. Mandalay is like, "What? Where have I heard that name before?" And Tiger goes, "Izumi, did we hear you right of Midoriya?" And she goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That landslide was 6 months ago." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, you've been gone for 6 months. Where were you?" And she goes, I don't know." And Mandalay feels bad for her, and she goes, "How about this? We take you home and make sure that you can survive while you're at home, and we check up on you every once in a while." And she goes, "Okay." And we skip a year, and Mandalay's like, "We can't check on her this week, so can we call Aizawa?" And he goes, "I think Aizawa's on patrol right now." She goes, "Aizawa will pick up. It's a hero calling a hero." And he goes, "Yeah, true." So they call Aizawa, and Aizawa picks up saying, "What is it?" with his normal bored tone. And they go, "We got a Nico for you to check up on." And he goes, "Where?" And they say, "Don't worry, it's a Quirk girl that has lost her parents a long time ago, and she doesn't even know what happened the 6 months she was gone." So her address, they say her address, and they say that she needs to be checked up on every week, and this next month they can't check up on her. And he goes, "Okay, I'll go check up on her." And he goes to her apartment, and he knocks on the door. She opens the door and sees Aizawa, and she starts geeking out. And he goes, "So what they said was true." And he goes, "You're as unwielding as ever, like they said that they said you would be." And he goes, I don't like press. I don't like me being known. And she goes, yeah, that's an underground hero for you. And he goes, I kind of like you, kid. And she goes, yeah. And he goes, so, what's the problem? And she goes, I'm lonely. And he goes, no duh. What else? And she goes, what? So after like an hour of him just being like, what's your problem? What's your problem? She finally starts spilling about her life and what happened when she woke up originally. Then she passed out again. And he's like, huh. It's very strange. Okay. I'll look into it. I'll make sure they look into it. And she goes, can you come back tomorrow? And he's like, sure. And so another year passes where Aizawa checks up on her every other day. Instead of Mandalay and the Wild Pussycats checking up on her every week. Making sure she has food every week instead of... he's more of on Dad Zawa levels of checking up instead of the aunt of Mandalay. So Aizawa at this point is like, I give up. And he just goes over to Izumi's and goes, I give up trying to check on you. Why don't you just move into my house? And she goes, what? He goes, yeah. I already got an adopted kid. I could adopt you too. And she goes, my dad's overseas. And he goes, you could just live at my house then. Instead of me adopting, you could just live at my house. And when your dad comes over, you can be with him. And she goes, sure. And she says, but there's one thing that you must know about me that's different than normal people. And he goes, what is it? She goes, ever since the landslide, I've had this ability with my arms and legs. And he goes, what? And she shows off the high jump ability from the holding of the A in Cyberpunk 2077. And the gorilla arms. She has gorilla arms. And she shows that, and he goes, oh, so you're a cyborg? And she goes, no, if I was a cyborg, I'd be half metal, half human. I'm not half metal, half human. I'm more 1/3 metal, 2/3 human. And he goes, you're a cyborg? And she goes, no. He goes, kid, you're a cyborg. And she goes, fine, I'm a cyborg. Just call me whatever you want. No, not gorilla arms. She's got the mantis blades. But instead of it being one big blade, it's 5 different blades that go onto the end of her fingers. Like Freddy Krueger. I'm sorry, but I'm having her embrace the cat. And she's been really into Oni soldiers from the traditional Japanese times with the Oni masks and stories of demons. Yeah, I'm having her do that. And she's really into music too. So one day while she's walking away from Aizawa's home and walking around town, she runs into this music shop, and her increased hearing and smell and taste and sight are all benefits from her cat side of her quirk. And she walks into this store and sees this girl playing the guitar, and then when she's done with the guitar, she watched her switch to the drums and play the drums, and then watched her switch from the drums to the bass guitar and play that. And when she's done, the girl walks off the stage and looks at the instruments and like, that was fun. And she just starts clapping. And Jiro flings around. Yes, it's Jiro, obviously. Flings around and says, and she goes, oh, no, don't be nervous. That was really good. And Jiro goes, do you know how to play? And she goes, no, I wish I knew, though. And Jiro says, I could probably teach you. And Jiro is stuttering like Hinata because she's frightened at this girl that she didn't even notice was there. Aizawa's teaching has been good. And she's like, ooh, that'd be great. Can I come once a week? And Jiro goes, sure. Why not? And so every week for the next year, she goes and she learns how to play guitar, bass guitar, and drums. And Jiro, being a master of all the instruments in this one, is just teaching her really well, and she's getting a hang of it really well. And her cybernetic arms and legs do help with the standing, the kicking of the drum, and the strumming of the guitar. And Bakugo walks into the store one day with Jiro on bass and her on guitar, and he's like, oh my god, they're good. And no, he's not going to be a jerk in this one, or a dick in this one. So he walks over and says, you guys need a drummer? And they go, sure. And Jiro is just a little shy around new people. She goes, sure, if you can. And he goes, can I? I'm going to shred that. And so he starts drumming like in Canon, and he's really good at it, obviously. And Izumi at this point is a very big extrovert. And she starts doing everything for Jiro, because Jiro is a introvert, obviously. So Jiro is more of the hide behind a mask and let people see your skills, not your face. So Izumi's like, ooh. And this is going to be a very, like, what if she was a singer, kind of, but it's only going to show one song, and I'm going to tell you guys the name of the song and where to find it on YouTube. And I'll definitely put a link to the song in the description, because it's a really good song. And so they get a band together, they start playing at shows, and Aizawa goes to one of the shows just to see how good they are, and he's just there for like a 5 to 10 minutes, and here's a song that he loves out of the band. It's Never Fade Away by Samurai. And if you listen to the Cyberpunk 2077 version, which is the female cover for it, that's the one I'm going to be putting in the description. So, yeah. But he hears the song Never Fade Away, and he just is like, good song. And he is recording it, and he has a producer friend that he has produced some of the songs that he listens to from random bands so he can listen to it on disc. And sometimes he publishes it on the internet as random erased songs. He calls them random erased songs because the hero, Eraserhead, recorded them and is putting them on the internet when they're not actually published to the public besides these few people. And Izumi is wearing a mask. I really need to stop dropping you guys. It's a really bad habit. But she's wearing a mask. She's wearing the samurai mask. And she's wearing these kind of clothes. Tight black jeans, or tight black leather pants. And a tight black, a black and red, with a red Oni mask on the back of it. So she looks like Johnny Silverhand when he's playing. Duh. And she does have a katana at her left side, and she plays with a katana at her left side with her Oni mask on, so she can hide her face and not be spotted in public. She doesn't have a full katana. It's more of a small blade katana and a big hilt, so it looks like a full katana. And it's a black katana with a flaming red, like you see in the image, design on the sheath. And she had it custom ordered by uh, Aizawa, because she's wearing this Oni mask get up, and he's like, it would fit, and let's surprise her for one of her birthdays. So it's now a year before UA, and they have a full-blown concert at UA because Aizawa's like, I want to improve the mood at UA for a day. So he goes on the loudspeaker with Nezu behind him, and he says that we have a hometown rock band that is coming to UA for one night and is going to play specifically for the UA students. And everybody's like, who is a hometown rock band? And Mirio, Nejire, and Tamaki, who's somewhat of a fan of Samurai, they're like, the only hometown rock band is Samurai. Are they calling in Samurai? And they run to Nezu's office and ask Aizawa, isn't the only hometown rock band Samurai? And he goes, so you like their stuff too? And she goes, yeah, it's good. And he goes, yeah, it took me 3 months to convince her to play at UA. And they're like, what? He goes, yeah, I know the singer, I know the entire band, and it took me 3 months to convince the lead singer and the rest of the band, 3 months to play at UA. And they're like, is this a graduation present for this year students? And he goes, hell no. This is just to hype up everybody to do their best over the next few years, because they're going to join UA. And Nejire, Mirio, and Tamaki are like, what? So the concert happens. The end song is Never Fade Away, because it's a good song. You guys need to listen to it. I'll definitely put that in the description. But back on topic. They played and they sang and they finally left, and Nejire, Tamaki, and Mirio are like, oh my god, we need to meet them. So the next day at UA, it's like a month away from graduation for everybody, and Nejire, Tamaki, and Mirio are all leaving class early, and they walk over to Aizawa, because if he isn't caught before he leaves class, he's leaving class immediately. And they walk over to Aizawa and say, Aizawa-sensei? And he goes, what do you want? And they go, introduce us. And he goes, no. They go, yes, no, yes, no. And they go back and forth, and they go, why not? And he goes, because privacy reasons. And they go, and they start doing the puppy dog eyes, and he goes, that doesn't work on me. And Tamaki is like, I really hate when you guys make me do this, but he takes out a pill, and his quirk is to transform into anything or have his body transform into anything that he consumes that day. So if he consumes a pebble, he can transform into a pebble. If he consumes cat hair, he could transform into a cat. So he pulls out this pill, and it says kryptonite for Aizawa on it, and Aizawa looks at this and goes, what the hell is that? And they go, specifically made to beat you. And he goes, there's nothing that can beat me. And all of a sudden Tamaki eats it, and he's like, I really hate this one. And he swallows it, and immediately he's able to turn into a cat. And he turns into a cat, and he does the puppy dog eyes, and he goes, damn it. And he goes, fine, you get to meet the lead singer, that's it. And they're like, cool. So he takes them home, and he's like, Izumi, you got some guests here. And she goes, for me or the lead singer? And he goes, both. And she goes, what? He goes, yeah, they want to meet you. And they're like, who's Izumi? And he goes, long story short, she lived alone. I invited her over. She lives here now. And they go, oh, okay. He goes, "You're not going to ask any more questions?" And they go, "No, you're strange that way. We don't need to." He goes, "Okay, at least you're going to shut up now." They go, they run over to Izumi and go, "So you're the lead singer?" And she goes, "Yeah." So they talk about that for a little bit. And then they get on to the quirk category. And she goes, "I have pretty much everything a cat has for senses." And she plays with her ears and she goes, "I have ears." And she goes, I still don't know what my last part of my quirk is, but I got this. And she transforms her hand from the normal hand into the Freddy Krueger hand with the mantis blades on each finger. Finger, not thumb. So you got 8 fingers with 1 thumb. And they're like, "Cool." And she goes, "Yeah, that's it. So what about you guys?" And they start talking about their lives and what their first samurai concert was like, and how that ever since they heard the song Never Fade Away, yes, I'm going to be referencing that song a lot. If you guys haven't heard it, go listen to it. I'll put it in the description. Go listen to it. And she goes, and she says, calls down, and by this point, she's basically called him dad multiple times because he treats her like his daughter. And she calls down, "Dad, what about the CD?" And he goes, "I'm not giving that one away." She goes, "Not the original, the 13 other copies you have." And he goes, "Oh, you knew about that?" And she goes, "Yeah, I knew about that." Oh my God. She walks out of the room, comes back, and she has 13 DVDs and goes, "I'll give you each one." And they go, "Yes!" And she says, "There's only one song on this," because he was only there for like 10 minutes. And they go, "So the last one?" And she goes, "Yes." Like, "That's good for us." And they grab the disc and they're like, "Yes! Score!" And he runs into the room and looks at the 2, 3, and 4, and he goes like, "Not those 4. The first one and those 3 are off limits." And they go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because that was the second one I printed, third one I printed, and fourth one I printed." And they go, "Okay." And she goes, "Now, you get the first copy, and that's it." And he goes, "But." And she goes, "No. I already freaking let you pet me daily." He goes, "Yeah, it's fun." And Tamaki at this point, because he still had the cat transformation, had ears and a tail, and she goes, "So, what part did you eat?" And he goes, "I had cat fur. It's freaking disgusting." She goes, "Huh. Believe me, I have the habit of doing it." And they go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I have the habit of cleaning myself. Freaking cat instincts." And Aizawa says, "It's funny." And he starts laughing, thinking about Izumi cleaning herself with her tongue, and it's just weird. Yes. Face, arms, legs, cat instincts. I'm not going into any further detail about that. But they say, "Are you seriously joining UA?" And she goes, "Yes, that's if they allow me to use," and she flicks out the mantis blades, "these in the exam, because I currently have legs and arms that are metal. So you can classify those as my support items." And she hasn't grown an inch since she was 7. She grew really fast and then stopped. So she's roughly 4'11", and that's it. So she's short. So like, oh, okay. So they become friends, and they're like, "Can we meet the other band members?" And she goes, "The drummer, yes. The bass, no." And they go, why? And she goes, introvert. And they go, oh, okay. Makes sense. She goes, yeah. So, I'll get the drummer over here and, tomorrow? Yeah, I'll get him over here tomorrow. And they go, okay. So, they go over tomorrow. They meet the drummer, Kotsky. They see how he is. They see how chill he is in this one. And we skip the 1 month, and it's now the last day of school for everybody. And Izumi is currently wearing her cyberpunk jacket, and not cyberpunk, her samurai jacket and her glasses that she wears on stage. And she forgot that she was wearing them and she walked into school, and everybody's like, oh, only one person has that jacket. And everybody started freaking out because they've seen her concerts at the old abandoned buildings and theme parks, and sometimes at a drive-in once or twice. And I start freaking out. It's like, why is this happening? And she looks at her jacket. It's like, crap. So she pulls out her Oni mask from her backpack and puts it on her face. So she has her Oni mask on, and so she hides her full face. And they see her, and they see what class she goes into, and they start thinking of who's in that class. And the teacher sees that her secret identity has gotten out, and she's like, okay, so well, that lasted as long as it did. And so we skip the 10 months. It's the same thing as in canon. She goes to Bodegaba Beach, starts cleaning it. And she meets All Might there with someone else. And All Might's like, oh, hello, young lady. And they start talking and getting to know each other. All Might's like, I love your songs. And she goes, oh, thank you. I like your hero work. And he goes, you don't need to thank me for that. That's my job. And she goes, that's all you should be asking for instead of money. And he goes, I don't ask for money. It's just something that I get for doing what I love. And she's starting to get what he does for why he does it. He's not Mean Might in this one. I know I've had a trend of Mean Might in my last few what ifs, but he's not Mean Might in this one. So it's now the first day of school because she passed the entrance exams. There's no one trapped under the rubble. And Aizawa is like, okay, I'm going to just sit here and sit at my desk, maybe in my caterpillar mode. And Izumi's like, God, if Jiro and Bakugo don't notice you, I'm going to be very disappointed in them. And he goes, yeah, I will too, and I'll give them extra training. And she goes, oh God. Yeah, they kind of deserve it if they don't notice you. And Jiro walks in and just whispers, hi, sensei. And Izumi hears this and goes, good job. And Jiro sees Izumi and runs over to Izumi, hugs her, and starts chatting with her. Bakugo walks in and goes, hey. It just walks by his desk, and Izumi's like, that's either addressed to him, me, Jiro, or all the above. He sits at his desk and puts his head down. And Mirio, Tamaki, and Nejire all run in going, oh my God, they're actually here! And Mirio, Tamaki, and Nejire all knowing what Izumi can do, and Izumi popping her claws, literally. They hear a pop sound and they look and they see Izumi's claws. Like, oh. We're gonna leave. And Izumi's claws retract. And she's like, okay. And they go back to class, and Bakugo's like, those three nimwits are at our school, and she goes, they're not Nimrods. Freaking dummy. He goes, I'm not a dummy. And he goes, yes, you are. You call everybody extras and Nimrods, but you're chill about it. So you're a dummy. And he goes, I'm no dummy. And she goes, yes, you are. And they start having a little bit of an argument, but he's not yelling or raising his voice. And maybe 10 seconds in, Izumi's like, "Ah, screw it. Shut up!" and yells it at the top of her lungs. And everybody hears this and is quiet. And Aizawa gets up and goes, "It took you 11 seconds to be quiet." And they all look at Aizawa and go, "Who the hell are you?" And Izumi goes, "That's our homeroom teacher. Be respectful." And he goes, "My name's Shota Aizawa. I'll be your homeroom teacher." And he gives the same lecture as in canon. He says, "Everybody get outside. We're doing a test." And they go outside, and Bakugo, not being a bully in this one, does not have as good of a quirk. So he gets roughly 556-ish. Because he doesn't focus on his quirk, he focused on his strength. So Izumi gets 700 and some odd, because she just used her cybernetics. And Jiro gets Canon Jiro, whatever she got. And so Bakudo, that's his name now. Bakudo. Oh, God. Bakugo now just walks around the town with, or not walks around the town, is not in first. He's fourth. Yeah, he's fourth. Izumi's first because her legs, her long jump, her high jump, her grip strength, her everything is better in this one. And what really baffled everybody was when she first had the cybernetics implanted, her body adjusted to them super quickly, and her quirk adjusted to them. So they have increased strength on top of the already increased strength from the increased muscle mass from the cybernetics. So her quirk, the cat quirk, which allowed her to be a little bit more agile and allowed her to be a little bit stronger than Canon, Izumi, if she didn't have a cat quirk, allowed her to just be just a tiny bit stronger. And everybody didn't know how that worked. So Aizawa at the end of this test says, "Okay, we really need to go to the guru." And she goes, "Yeah, I've been asking you that for the last few years, if you could drive me to the guru." And he goes, "Fine. After school today, just hop in my car. I'll drive you to the guru." So class ends. She's top. Mineta is last, but he doesn't get kicked out yet. I have plans for him. So they go to the guru, and the guru is just sitting on his desk, waiting for people to walk in, because he's still a quirk doctor, and he's still a professional. And Izumi walks in, and he goes, "Ah!" "You must be the customer for the day." And Aizawa says, "Yeah, I need her quirk evaluated." And he goes, "I've seen you before." And she goes, "I haven't seen you before." He goes, "Yeah, you were in that weird laboratory. And you didn't have arms or legs." And she goes, "What?" And Aizawa flares his eyes, saying, "Tell me everything." And Izumi calms him down, saying, Hold up. He is telling the story, and he explains what he saw, and then he says that he had a bag put over his head when he left. And then he was dropped off here again. And she goes, "Oh, okay." And when was this? And he said, this was, I think it was a few years ago, wasn't it? And she goes, "Yes, but there was a landslide." "How many months after the landslide?" Oh, he goes, "Oh, I really feel really bad. I had a client that day." And she goes, "Yeah, I was that client." And he goes, "Oh, you were? Is your last name Midoriya?" And she goes, "It was until he adopted me." He goes, Oh, this was 2 months after the landslide. And she goes, oh, okay. She feels sad because she didn't even get to know if her mother survived the landslide. And Aizawa just hugs her, saying it's alright. As long as you survived, your mother is happy. She's probably resting easy knowing that you're safe. And she goes, yeah. And he walks up to her and says, I already have your quirks on file. He'll give you the file. He gives them the file and says, now, have a good day. And they leave, and he goes on his way, and he's like, that poor kid. So that's the last time I talk about the guru. So Izumi gets back into the car and opens the file and sees that her quirk's name is human augmentation. And she reads this out loud of any cybernetic implants or any robotic implants done to the human is immediately absorbed by the human's biological structure to improve and accept these changes. And she goes, so I'm a cyborg. And he goes, I knew it. And she goes, really? And he goes, what? I was right, wasn't I? And she goes, yeah, you are. So the only way I get stronger is if I improve my cybernetic enhancements. And he goes, no experimenting on yourself. And she goes, I know. I'm probably going to get May to do it. And he goes, no, she does not get to do it. If anything, let Power Loader do it. And she goes, but Power Loader's strange. He has this weird obsession with his loader bot that he has on him. And he goes, I know, but just let him do it, not May, because she's going to blow you up. And he goes, from what it says here, all damage done to my cyberware is immediately healed via normal human regeneration. So she takes out the little knife that she always has on her and cuts her arm, and all of a sudden her arm starts healing like she had regeneration as a quirk. And she goes, it does work. And she continues reading, and she goes, all foreign and non-foreign objects. What? And she starts messing with her arm, and all of a sudden this thing pops out, and she sees a rock. And she's like, what? So she pops it back in, and she couldn't move her hand again. And she keeps reading, and it says all foreign and non-foreign technology. Because she just stopped at foreign and non-foreign. And she read technology. She's like, what? So she brings it up with Aizawa, and Aizawa goes, what? Wait, what? And I'm going to end it here for the 300 sub special. I'm going to do the second and last part. The second, which is the last part, later today, which is, it's already 6:30 at my place, so you'll see it maybe early tomorrow morning for me, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. But this is the 300k this 300k, god damn it, 300 sub special. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, and if you guys do like my content and you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you guys do like any of the other content that I tell you guys to go watch, consider subscribing to them, because they're great YouTubers. They're great what-ifers. They're great people from what I have heard from them. And if you guys love what I do here, you will love the guy known as the Crunchy Fet. Because he does pretty much the same thing, and he just released his 500k set, or not, god damn it, 500 sub special of what if Femme Deku had a harem. And I think you guys would like it. I personally liked it, so if you guys like my content, you might like his. So if you guys like my content, and you subscribed, consider going over to his channel. If you liked his content too, subscribe to him because he's a great guy. I've talked to him on Discord. And honestly, I would prefer if you guys subscribe to both of us because we're going to be talking to each other constantly. And I hopefully will get a collab with him one day. I feel like that would be a really great idea to collab with him. If you guys want that, go over to his channel, blow him up, say, hey, one day you need to collab with Unsmooth Criminal. So, if you guys like my content, consider subscribing. If you guys like his content, consider subscribing to him. But you guys should go check him out if you like my content. Bye. Talk to you guys later.